issues that Halo had over the long term, I think, yes, there was a gameplay issue, but extending beyond that, because even Halo 3 and Halo Reach, granted, this was an earlier generation of gaming back before we had evolved to the point we're at today, but really where Halo needed to improve after 3 and Reach wasn't to me so much the gameplay aspect, and clearly they tried to improve that. And,
I know what you're gonna
they took
say,
it the
dog.
wrong direction.
Oh, I know what you're gonna
But
say.
to me, it was a lot of the replayability and the stuff to keep the player actively engaged and grinding the game. And I think that with things like the Battle Pass system, and they didn't mention it, but we're probably going to have a Battle Royale. I'm still sticking to my guns on that. I still think that's going to happen. But
at
with
least
the Battle
somewhere
Pass
down the
system
roadmap, it might not be at launch. Somewhere down the line in that development timeline, whether it's a year out or not, like I feel like that's on the table for sure.
Right. But it just seems like the game, like they're really putting effort in to make the game sticky. Like once you get into it, it just makes you want to get more and more into it, and makes it harder and harder to put it down because. From what he said,
the Halo Battle Pass will never be taken away from you. And what I mean by that is once you buy it, it's yours and does not expire. In future seasons, you can purchase old Battle Passes as well as the current Battle Pass and choose which Battle Pass to put your progression towards.
All of these rewards are single source, so you're never going to be confused about where things come from. If you can unlock something in the Battle Pass, we're not going to let any other players circumvent that by purchasing it out of the storefront.
A lot of our stuff is unlocked through playing the game and only through playing the game. All customization is just cosmetic.
Going to reward you for playing the game, right? And
yeah.
And I think that the more time they can get people to invest, that's just going to compound into even more time and attention dedicated to the game, which is good for them as a company, but also good for us, right? Because that's kind of the goal, and they even discussed that in the video.
Not only are we free to play, but we're free to play on PC as well as console. And what that means is we're able to get the biggest audience we've ever had. Everybody gets to play with no barriers. And even better, your progression carries from one platform to the next.
Constantly and actively engaged with each other and with the developers to make the game the best experience possible. For the first time, gauging off of how they're talking about it, if this is well executed, right? I do want to put the stipulation. If this is well executed, because you don't know how it's actually going to go till the time comes.
Yeah.
But I think they may be able to capture that essence that Halo once had of the game and the community feeling alive.
Yeah, like I had the exact impression with what you said about that player retention when it comes to Halo. Like I totally agree. It was this big pitfall that Halo fell into where it just could not adapt with that stickiness, as you put it, which I love that word. I don't know if you made that up just now, but it just couldn't nail that stickiness after a certain point in its lifespan. And other franchises really took the reins on nailing that stickiness much better, which is why they became more successful with Halo, and Halo got phased out. I got the same impression from this. I'm watching it already feeling like, damn, dude, like, oh, the grind is gonna be wild. Get on, you start the stream up, legendary difficulty bot matches to get that shot warm.
Because we have that now.
Because we have that now, which is tight, and that's another indication of like they're taking this shit seriously, not only to train new players that are going to be coming in swarms to this game once it launches because it's free to play. And okay, how are we going to handle, we don't want a bunch of people who are just complete ass at the game flooding every lobby and just running around feeding. Like, train these incoming players to the Halo systems to where they're you're not just going to have constant swaths of like terrible teammates, ruining your experience. And also, if you're a harder core player, just like a Counter-Strike Go, like you should have tools available of like you want to play at a higher level. Like I don't want to go and just like get stomped my first match on just because like I'm not warm. You know what I mean? Like, let me warm up my shot. Let me like practice my strats with my team. Like, let me, you know what I mean? Like all that robustness that comes along with that practice, kind of phasing. Like it's so sick to see that training area. And it's also like interactive, which is a whole nother level they've added to this. But you're just seeing all these features and all this robustness that's adding to that sticky factor, like you said, that to me, I watch this trailer and I go like, dude, if they nail, like you said, if they nail this and this is true to the actual gameplay experience, what we're seeing here, I'm scared because I'm like, this game's gonna suck me in, dude. If they can nail that sticky factor, like it's gonna be Halo season once again, without a doubt.
And we know, because we've discussed this before, over the long term, what keeps the player actively engaged is the multiplayer of the game. Yep. And I think that by having something like the Academy in the game, providing players with training scenarios and a firing range and bots, you give the player all the tools they need to learn the game and improve at the game, at least at the foundational level. And I'm hoping that that them providing the player with those tools is kind of a sign that we're going to be getting away from things that a lot of other games have been controversially doing with skill-based matchmaking, right? Hopefully with right, namely Call of Duty, Fortnite, games like that Apex Legends, the big shooter games that have been getting kind of hammered by their communities for that. I'm really hoping that there will be, of course, the separation of ranked and unranked matchmaking, but absolutely. I think that with unranked matchmaking, we may not see any kind of skill-based matchmaking, because it seems that from one of the developers in the trailer stating that
the vision of Arena was all about a tight experience. It was all about being fair. It was all about earning everything on the map, earning everything, every kill you get.
They're kind of leaning towards an experience where, it's get good at the game. But then they're not leaving you on an island. They're providing you all the tools you need to do that. And I think that that's going to be good for the casual player. And that's really what Halo over the last few years has been missing, is that casual player.
And even if you're hardcore, like I said, like it's also, they're nice features to have in your toolkit as well, for trying to up your game and take your game to the next level.
I saw pro players on Twitter today that were excited about the reveal of having bots that they could warm up with.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's going to be something that everyone in the community benefits from.
For them as developers, taking the time to implement a bot system where not many people ask. Like, I mean, like, we've been pretty embedded in the Halo community in one way or another, where like if people were saying it even kind of a lot, like we would have heard it. And I've never heard anyone really ask for bots, but they did it anyway. It just shows an amount of thought that they're putting forth into the entire system and foundation and platform that they're trying to create in a way that's just, it's so much more thoughtful than I was even expecting. Just like you described, they had that conversation. You can walk that logic backwards like you just did, where you're like, okay, this is probably why bots were implemented, because how do you solve this barrier of entry problem? If it's going to be free to play and they want the player base to be huge, and they don't want it to be intimidating. Like, I was just talking to my roommate Josh, and he's never played Halo really before in his life, but his ears perked up when I told him, like, hey, there's a way for you to play the game at first and learn how to play Halo, because I know you've never played it before. Learn how to actually play the game without just like feeling bad and like losing all the time and having people get mad at you. And he's like, oh shit, like it's free to play and I'm not gonna feel terrible at first when I'm learning the rope. I'm buying into that like 100%. And that's a cool thing to see, because there's going to be tons of people in the same boat where they might not have picked it up prior or downloaded it because even still it was intimidating, but like there's features in place where they feel like there is a ability for them to learn the mechanics of the game, and that's really exciting. Like there's just so many things like that you can really tell, and you can tell by them explaining it too, like, okay, they had these conversations, you know, like they internally like have thought this through. What are going to be the long-term and short-term ramifications of all these design decisions, and how will they play out, you know, and trying to answer the questions before they come, trying to provide the solutions to the problems they think might come later, you know what I mean? And that, like, that amount of forethought that I think is being demonstrated in this video is like really exciting to see. Like that gets me excited. Thank you for watching and listening. Subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks so much. We'll see you on the next one.